Here's to another episode.
Here's to another episode.
Hey everybody, we're back. So we're coming to you a little late today. We've been traveling. More on that later.
We want to give a special shout out this week to one of our patrons, Alan Hall, who donated a paid subscription to Predict Wind for us, which will help keep us more informed and safer going forward. Thank you so much, Alan. We appreciate it just more than you can possibly know.
Oh yeah, here's to you. And to all our patrons. You guys are amazing. You can join the club. You can join the League of Mariners by going to patreon.com/forloveofwind. All the details are there as to getting all the nitty-gritty behind the scenes, unedited, uncut, and real-time updates. So, patreon.com/forloveofwind. So in this episode, we've been living on the hook now in Flow for a little over a month. And, you know, we have some power issues ongoing, but even with all of that, it's not been what you see on YouTube. Would you agree to that?
I would agree. It's not all glamour, and I think...
Glitz. Right, we've been stuck in St. Augustine trying to sell our car. Obviously, we could have sold the car by now if we were willing to take pennies on the dollar for it. We know there's the right buyer out there. You're out there somewhere. We're coming for you. We have your car.
And the sale of the car will help fund us for a little while longer and hopefully get us a little bit further down the road. But today we're going to give you a kind of nitty-gritty look at what life is like on the hook, the things that you don't see on YouTube channels, which some of it is not necessarily all that exciting, but there's a lot of downtime where things are not very exciting.
Yep. So we should start with the electric elephant in the room, our power problems. When we left River's Edge Marina and went out on the hook, we had no house batteries. Zero. None. Nada. Niet.
Zilch.
Zilch. I can't believe I forgot
That's a great
zilch.
One.
All we had was our lead acid start battery for the engine and the generator. We don't have separate batteries for engine and generator. One battery, lead acid. It's about that big. Like it's the Fiat 500 battery. It's teeny tiny. So that we had to leave the marina and we came out on that. So that caused its own set of problems. During the day, when we have good sun, we can do a lot of things. At night, when we have no solar, we can't even afford to turn on extra lights or anything like that. That one start battery has to run bilge pump if we need it. Thankfully, we don't need it. The bilge, we don't have a leaky bilge. We're not taking on water. Yeah, knock on wood. But we also have to run the anchor light all night long. That is a power consumer on the start battery. And if there's emergency, I want to be able to start the engine. All right, guys, let's talk batteries. Currently, we have recovered 2. It has been like months since the draining incident happened. We have since learned that was our refrigerator ran too hard and pulled all the batteries down. I don't know why the inverter didn't cut off before the batteries did, but it drained everything dry and they all dropped off. And truthfully, we didn't notice. The inverter was in smart mode and we were plugged into shore power, but I was prioritizing batteries. So it would drain the batteries, and then they sat for like a week or two because we were on shore power. Just didn't notice. So when we needed it, when I went back to check it, oh, well, that's a problem. So not only were they drained, but they were drained and then sat. And I don't know if that did something to them or what. But it is what it is. We've resolved the refrigerator issue. Here's the problem. We only have 2 batteries of our 4. And I have tried everything the manufacturer suggested. We bought a special lithium charger with BMS activation. That actually did recover 1 battery, which was really, really nice. I have tried jumper cables from the start battery to a dead battery while it's on the charger. And it appears to charge for, I don't know, 5 or 6 seconds, but then stops. So, to recover the first battery, we literally put it in parallel with our lead acid start battery and left it for like 3 days, 4 days. Solar charging and running stuff during the day, and then at night, the lead acid battery would be the source for our anchor light and bilge pump and things like that. And that battery did come back through sitting in parallel with the lead acid and then solar charging. We tried that with another battery and it did not come back. It did not come back within the 3 or 4 days. It might have come back if we gave it like a week or 2. But that's when we bought the lithium iron ferrite battery charger with BMS activation. Very simple device. We put it on another dead battery and we let it sit for like a week. And when I say a week, not a week constant, obviously we only run the inverter when the sun's up. So maybe 8 hours a day for a week. But that brought back battery number 2. So we've been running on 2 batteries. They seem to be operating at capacity. So very nice. This battery here has been on that same charger for 2 weeks now, maybe 8 hours a day. The open circuit voltage has come up considerably. Right now the open circuit voltage for that is, let's take a look. So this battery here is not hooked up. It's still hooked up to the ground, but it's not hooked up to the positive. These leads here are just some scrap wire I had to extend the charging leads for our charger, since it's in a forward bilge and it just runs all the time when the inverter's on. So you can see when I check the battery, gives us a good 12.28. Oh, I got them backwards. Let's try this. Okay. There, positive and negative. Okay. So 12.28 volts, which is low, obviously. Now, if I put a load on it, I have this little puck here, which should light up at 12 volts. You can see it's doing nothing. If I check the voltage under load, it's 10.9, which is why it's doing nothing. And obviously, this little puck does light right up. Oh boy, right. So the manufacturer suggested running an 18-volt solar panel on it for 30 minutes. We did that. We ran it for 30 minutes. We ran it for 4 hours, like direct, not through a charger, but the solar panel direct to it. So that did not seem to do anything for us. We put jumper cables on this thing with the charger to see if the battery would just come back to life, or at least start taking a charge. That did not do anything. Our last ditch effort is we have I overcharged our start battery to 13.7 volts. It's not good for it, I get it. But I'm just putting that on the jumper cables to that battery, and that's just going to sit and see if those voltages equalize. Not optimistic, but I don't know what else to try. We've done trying the little jump starter battery pack. We've tried jumper cables to the start battery. We tried putting it on a car alternator or on the engine alternator, the generator alternator. I'm going to put in the description all of the equipment I have on board. That's what I have to use. Please, please, please let me know what I can do to recover these batteries. The next step is warranty replacement, but I'm sure that will be a struggle. They're under a 5-year warranty and they're less than a year old, but we don't have a good mailing address, and that's assuming that the company is willing to not make me jump through a whole bunch of expensive hoops. So the equipment we have on board is in the description. Please review it and tell me what I can do to get these batteries back. I'm out of options. I'm out of ideas. 2 are good, 2 are bad. I need all 4 good. When we first got the batteries and the inverter installed, we ran the boat just off of those. And everything worked great. Refrigerator and all. The refrigerator is 120 volt. It runs off our inverter. And it was running about 15 minutes every 2 hours. It's a power hog, but 15 minutes every 2 hours we were fine with. And we ran like that for quite a while in the winter, and we didn't think about that. Cold water, which it uses raw water cooling, and cold air outside the boat, so it was not having a hard time, and it was fine running that 15 minutes every 2 hours. When we turned it on in the summer in St. Augustine, it was running like an hour and a half every 2 hours, which is what killed our batteries. We didn't know. We turned everything back on and put it back in the mode it was when we were in the winter. It is what it is. It was our fault. We have since bought a 12-volt chest freezer and a 12-volt chest fridge, and these things use very little power. They're situated right now in our forward cabin. We removed the mattress, and we ran some heavy gauge cable up there to connect them directly to a big breaker down by the batteries. All right, so if y'all remember the burnt power cord debacle, we actually saved this power cord. Inside this is 3 strands of 10 gauge wire, and we are going to actually put that to use with several projects. So I'm going to cut the ends of it off here. So cut the end of it off. And you can see we've got some nice thick copper core, 3 strands of 10 gauge. So we're going to run 2 of these strands for our refrigerator freezer that we've got forward, so that we can connect that to a breaker and put that, not have to run that off the inverter. Another thing we're going to do is run a separate set of these strands from our circuit breaker panel to our nav station for a big 12-volt project coming up. So, well, I'm not going to bore you with the details of running some shore power cord underneath our floorboards or anything like that. We attached it to a bus bar on a block of wood. It's up underneath the forward cabin. Yeah, works great. ABYC compliant gauges for cable run. It's fine.
But we'll put a link in the description to the fridge and freeze that we're using now. They're Vevor and they work great, and we love them.
We do. They use so little power. The freezer is a 90 quart. We have it set to 10 degrees. It holds that, give or take, 5 degrees. So it'll go down to like 5 and then shut off. And then when it gets to 15, turn on and go back down to 5. Running straight on 12 volt. Pulls about 5 amps. For 45 minutes every hour and a half, which sounds like a long time, but that's 2.5 amp hours, right? So 45 minutes every hour and a half. That's 2.5 amp hours, which is amazing. The refrigerator we have, which is smaller, we did that on purpose. We need more freezer goods, but we only need produce and leftovers for the refrigerator, some condiments. We have it set to 35 degrees. It runs 15 minutes every hour and a half. At about 5 amps. So Yeah, these things, even if we have a really, really cloudy day, the batteries will run them all day, all night, no problems. Have nothing but nice things to say about Vevor chest fridge and freeze.
So there were a couple of times when the fishing boats would come by and they'd have just swarms of seagulls flying around them, and I guess they were they were discarding fish or entrails. Or whatever. But they would always have these flocks of seagulls just fighting for food around them. And so one day we saw some seagulls hanging out, and I think that they had found something in the water that they were excited about. And obviously there were a bunch of hungry seagulls. So we pulled out some bread and we just started tossing it off of the boat to see if they would bite.
You gotta throw it out at them, get their attention. They don't know that you're holding something they want to eat. There you go. Throw little pieces. Hey! Took it from your hand.
That was too cool.
Took it from your hand.
I'm sure they're going to end up pooping all over the boat, but it was worth it.
Did they bite?
I did get one to take some bread from my hand, and it did not bite.
One thing that was a surprise to us, we had a storm blow by, and I guess to get out of the storm, the cockpit filled with bees. It wasn't like one of those traveling hives. Just, here comes the wind, here comes the rain. A whole bunch of bees had been out in their flowers, and they needed a place to hide. So I guess flow was their place to hide. If you're the only thing across the water, you get it all. Hey guys, so we just came through one heck of a rainstorm. And right before the storm, we noticed the boat was covered in bees. I think they were harvesting somewhere out here, getting pollen and stuff like that. But as you can see, our sail bag is covered in them. They are absolutely everywhere. Right, obviously trying to weather the storm. They look like they have a lot of pollen on them. You can see their legs. They hang out everywhere. You have to be careful touching anything.
It's pretty amazing to me that bugs even fly out over the water. Like, how far will they go and what are they expecting to find? I don't know, but we did get a bunch of bees, probably 100 bees just hanging out on the boat waiting for the rain to stop. So I don't know if they came from across the river gathering pollen from their flowers and then
got blown off course. Who knows?
So one of the things that we knew about our anchorage in St. Augustine was that it was busy. It's right in the channel in the Matanzas River. Matanzas River, right?
I think so.
Okay, it's right in the channel in the Matanzas River. And there's a lot of traffic, especially on the weekends when people are out in their power boats and they're zipping back and forth, and fishing boats. And sometimes giant luxury yachts will come through, and it kind of creates a lot of rolling in the boat and a lot of wake. So that's one of the things that we dealt with pretty frequently, and especially on the weekends. was rolling in the boat, which kind of, you know, made for an interesting experience and helped us sort of
Get our sea legs.
Get our sea legs, if you will. So we take the dogs to the beach as often as we can to get them off the boat as much as we can and get them some exercise and get them on solid ground.
Yeah, yeah. You know, any pretty day, obviously they have to go in the dinghy with us. They all have life vests. I want to be clear on that. Every one of them.
They all do. They all do. We've got 3 life vests for our 3 dogs.
One of them always has his on.
Franklin. About Franklin.
About Franklin.
He is the one that has had the hardest time adjusting to life on the boat, and he manages pretty well inside. He gets a little nervous when it gets too rolly, but outside he's pretty. He kind of has a lot of anxiety about walking around on the fiberglass, especially.
I want to be clear. It's not the boat life he hasn't gotten used to. He can't walk on hardwood floors in a house.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, he's always had a problem with that.
You could take a handkerchief and put it on a hardwood floor and place him on it, and he's now in prison.
Yeah. He's stuck on Frankie Island.
Frankie Island. And he just can't walk on the fiberglass. And it like
he's worried that he's gonna slip and fall.
So we put him in his life jacket when we go to the beach, for the simple fact that it has a big handle on the back, and we can literally just hand him to each other.
boy Frank.
So when you have no power and it's raining and you're sitting there, one of the games you make up. What happened? What happened that day to us?
I don't know. I don't even know what. I don't know what was going on that day.
It was raining. We had no power at all, right? You can see there's no lights and everything like that. So
yeah. And we were hanging out waiting for the rain to stop, and I was doing dishes, and a bubble escaped from the sink. And it floated and floated, and we were watching it just floating through the air, and it never landed. And then before you know it, we were rooting for the bubble, and we didn't want it to pop.
You're waving it away from the walls and waving it away from the table, and we're waving it back and forth at each other. What kind of life have we... Who have we become that we're now waving bubbles at each other now?
Don't touch the
No, I won't
ceiling.
touch. This is what we do for fun. Chase bubbles.
These are the kind of games that we play when we're bored here on Flow. Keep a dish bubble alive. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
We do have games on board too. We play card games. We play Farkle. We play dice and dominoes and things like that.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, a good old rousing game of keep the bubble from popping is fun.
As of the recording of this video, we have enough power to make ice, which is nice.
We do, yes. We got a full bag of ice today.
And we did sell the car. That buyer that I said was out there, yeah, he came a-calling. This video's coming out late because we have been traveling. We have been sailing. We have relocated. Because once the car sold, we waited, what, a day?
We waited for the next weather window.
That's true. Yeah.
Played a few more games of Pop the Bubble.
I actually, based on our first day, we probably should have waited an extra day.
Yes. Yeah.
But next week, you're going to start to see an all-new For Love of Wind because we are now in our first destination. Spoiler, it's warmer. So join us next week and get to see some actual catastrophic sailing and wonderful sailing going on.
We're finally doing what we intended to do when we set out with this whole channel. We're finally getting to that point, you guys, and thank you for sticking with us because it's been a long time coming.
All of our effort is starting to pay off. Check out our website at forloveofwind.com. We got a blog that gives you a lot more details as to the process we've been going through. It's farther back behind than the videos, but a lot more nitty-gritty. It's got bios on us and the deckhounds and Flo and more information about the League of Mariners that you can join. forloveofwind.com.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell and follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at For Love of Wind. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye. Oops, you touched it.